So this is Mentality Meets. My name's Peter Larkum, and we're at the beginning of Mental Health Awareness Week. This week, I've got a session happening every single day. So if you want to get involved, because you're listening to this on a listen again process, please do register. Go to www.peterlarkum.com, find the link for Mentality Meets, and click on the register. It's a simple process. Just click on it, include your email, include your first name, and then you'll get sent all the rest of the links for this week. So with Mentality Meets, it's a fantastic opportunity just to sit and listen. Some of it is absolutely on the money. Some of it is just pure chaos, but that's just the way it is. We're talking about mental health, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So this is Mentality Meets. At the bottom of your screen, there is a chat bar, and it will open up a chat message that you'll be able to talk to everybody in. What I would like you to do right now is I would like you to open up the chat bar and let us know what's your name, where in the country are you, and I have no idea how to differentiate this next question today, because I've done haircut, I've done sock color, I've done
blood type.
Hey, blood type.
Yeah.
If you know your blood type, what is your blood type? Dave, geez. Okay.
That's a nice one. And also, if anything happens, then it means that you're covered.
It means everyone on this chat knows that you live somewhere, you're struggling, and we've got your blood type. Genius. I like where this is going. So, I'm just amazed that people actually know what their blood type is. I don't think I have a clue of my blood type. But hey, I'm Pete. Winchester, blood. I have it. Okay. So Dave, welcome to this session this morning. Can you just say a quick hello? Don't go into too much detail. It's just so people can pin your screen if they want to. So just say hi.
Hi, my name is Dave. Thank you so much for coming. And if you're interested, my blood type is like my outlook on life, which is B negative. So that's my blood type. And thank you so much for spending your Monday morning with me. And Chris.
All right, so that's Dave. But let's just kind of go through a little bit of a health warning for these sessions. So Mentality Meets is all about talking openly and honestly about the good, the bad, and the ugly around mental health. And that means that we really could go anywhere in these sessions. We don't quite know what we're going to cover because the conversation is so broad. But that means that we need you just to be a little bit aware of your own vulnerability, because we don't have any personal history about you. We don't know what your history of mental health illnesses is, or whether you've experienced it in the past, whether you're experiencing it now. I personally think with this whole COVID lockdown, more of us are experiencing signs and symptoms of mental health distress, if you like. But it doesn't mean that we're struggling with mental health illnesses. We're just becoming aware of our mental health. Okay, but there are some places to get access to help and support. So the Samaritans, if you need to, give them a call on 116-123. There's also a text service out there called Shout, and you can text Shout to 85258, and then somebody will get back in contact with you if you need to. Another option is we are banging on about the Hub of Hope on these sessions, which is www.hubofhope.co.uk. Now, what I find fascinating about this website is you put in your postcode and it will show you all the mental health provision in your local area. Now, this is brilliant when you are supporting someone on the other side of the country, because you can put their postcode in and you will find all the mental health provision for their local area. So just a couple of things if you need to access help and support. If you're really struggling, then you can do a private message to me, okay? And just put a private message in and let me know that you're struggling, and then I'll be able to point you in some directions if I can while we're on this chat. But we've only got half an hour, which is now 25 minutes, because I've been rambling for so long. So let's move it away from me and onto the fantastic Dave Chawner. Dave, can you just give us a brief history of your life and your world and what you have encompassed and been part of, and just stuff?
So starting with really easy questions then, Pete. I am Dave. I am a stand-up comic. So I suppose that in terms of this, I sort of started talking about like mental health, like when my kind of anorexia hit around late teens. But something that I've only just recently realized, I don't know if anyone remembers this, the first time I ever thought about mental health was, I think it was 2004 or 5. I don't know if anyone remembers the Stephen Fry documentary that he did about, and that like blew my mind, because I never knew that mental health was like a thing, and like everyone in our school was like talking about it. So I think that was the first time I ever thought about mental health. And then as kind of school went on, I became anorexic, but I didn't realize that I was anorexic because it kind of like seeped in. And also as well, something that I don't want to be triggering, I don't want to glorify, and absolutely do not want to promote eating disorders in any way, shape or form. But I think it's important to realize that they are a diseased coping mechanism, like, you know, substance abuse. And actually it gave me a very short-term thing for a longer term detriment. So I didn't realize that I was anorexic for a long time until I was about 19, 20. Didn't do anything about it until I was like 24, because I never felt anorexic enough. And now I'm 31 and B negative blood type. So that's me really, I suppose.
Thanks, Dave. So as we kind of go through these conversations, we're going to try and unpick mental health. Now, welcome to Mental Health Awareness Week, of which there's going to be loads of stuff going on. So a quick question that I just want to put out to the chat, which is, during this week, what are you planning or hoping to do to help raise awareness of mental health? Okay, so what are you planning to do to help raise awareness of mental health during this fantastic week of Mental Health Awareness Week? If you can, stick it in your chats. Also, for anyone else who is new that's just kind of joined us on the chat, if you are able to and willing to, do unlock your video and share your video with us, just so we can see that there are lots of people out there. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. That's totally fine. So Dave, in the context of your world, so you are an award-winning comedian and a book writer and all sorts. How do you...
Sorry, did you just say book writer?
Yeah.
Because most people use the term author, but I really love the term book writer. I think that's amazing. That's brilliant. You're a word speaker, Dave. That's great.
Brilliant. Thanks for highlighting on that. That was a question. Comedy and mental health. How do you put these two together? How does that work?
I think very easily, and like unfortunately the mechanics behind it are quite boring, but if you look at any comedy, and like TV comedy is really, really good, like you look at like Michael McIntyre, Lee Evans, anyone, actually what they're dealing with is like, you know, the subjects are quite dark. So like Michael McIntyre talks about like worrying about whether he's a good enough father, John Richardson talking about like being, you know, quite stiff and sort of like unfriendly, and actually like comedy is a great tool in order to engage with darker, more difficult subjects. So I've always thought that it was absolutely prime for talking about mental health for a number of different reasons. One is because it is a difficult conversation, but two, it's something that everyone has. Not everyone has mental illness, but everyone does have mental health. And also, I think personally, being really egotistic, I always think that the best version of myself when I'm mentally healthy is when I'm having a laugh with my mates. And I don't want to focus on all the negatives and stuff about mental illness. I'd like to talk about, you know, mental good health and opening towards that rather than steer away from illness.
Perfect. So on the chat we've got going on is to keep asking questions, to be blogging and raising awareness on Instagram, speaking for Time to Change on Thursday, so that's Emmy. Chris Hemmings is hosting a meaningful conversation. So Speakers Collective every now and then has meaningful conversations, and tomorrow at 6 p.m. we've got a meaningful conversation with Sarah Hughes from the Centre of Mental Health with Sir Norman Lamb, the former MP. And he says, yes, it is a total shameless plug, but it is so important to be engaging with and be promoting just some of these fantastic chats that are going on, because there are lots of them. So if you find any good stuff, please can you like it, share it, but can you add me onto it? Can you just say, hey, Pete, saw this, thought it was great? Because I'm just wanting to eat up and promote as much good stuff as we can this week around mental health. But you were talking about mental health because we all have it. So there is a difference between mental health and mental health illnesses. And one of the questions which I'm beginning to explore more now is, how do we make mental health a positive conversation rather than an immediate jump to a negative context?
Well, I think this is why I think it's mental. Like, it's easy. Like, you know, if people don't go to the gym because they see health adverts of like, oh, obesity is the worst thing since Hitler. That's not why people go to the gym. Like, and also like on cigarettes, people don't stop smoking because they're like, oh, smoking's bad for you. Like, you know, Joe smokes like 40 packs a day, but she knows it's bad for her. You know, it's one of those things that like people, I genuinely don't think that people are motivated by negativity. I think people are led by positivity. And that's, if you can say, you know what, like actually you'll be able to be more productive, you'll be able to have more fun, you'll be able to be more aware of your own thoughts, then that is such an easier sell. You don't have like door-to-door salesmen going around sort of saying, you know, like, oh, I can't think what door-to-door salesmen sell. I mean, that's I can't remember the last time I saw a door-to-door salesman. God, that's lockdown for you, isn't it? We had the Jehovah's Witness the other day. They stayed for 40 minutes. But you know what I mean? I think basically people are led by positivity. They're not led by negativity. And if they were coming around, thank you very much, Emmy, if they were selling dusters, like a sort of pre-1930s kind of, he's come around in his little trilby and like, hey, what about a duster? They don't do that because they're like, you know, oh, you could get bronchitis, kid. They're like, you know, actually your house could look brilliant, it could look sweet.
Okay, I don't know how to follow on from this, Dave.
I think I'm in a really weird mood this morning. I think there's a gas leak here. I just kind of think though that like with Mental Health Awareness Week, there's so much stuff out there, and like the thing that really irks me is that it is, a lot of it is negative, but actually good mental health is beautiful. It's enabling. It's the best thing that you as a person can really have. And I think the difference between mental illness and like good mental health is a lot like happiness and contentment, because like actual contentment is a lot like good mental illness. You don't want for more, you don't want anything to change, and you're quite happy in yourself. And I think that is such an amazing and an enviable and a brilliant place to be. So I think that we should use we should talk about mental well-being rather than mental illness all the time.
All right then. So next question out for the people on the chat. Mental wellness. Dictionary definition. What is mental wellness? Because I mean, we can talk about. I mean, when we talk about mental health, like what is mental health? But when we start kind of saying like the ideas of mental wellness or having a positive mental wellness, what does that actually look like, and how do we achieve it? Because when we're talking about raising awareness of mental health, we're talking about becoming more aware of the emotional context that we're going through, the circumstance of our life, the good stuff and the bad stuff, and this balancing process. But mental well-being from my side is kind of like looking at it from through the positive lens, you know. And I think a lot of the time people go, oh, mental health, and they jump to that negative. So just a quick question: what is mental well-being? So Emma's just kind of put peaceful mind, peaceful body, and awareness of that spectrum that it lies on. And peace is a fascinating idea, because once you begin to understand what peace is, you can then begin to explore what steals your peace. What are the things that are going on in your life that is stealing peace away from you? Because a lot of the time we are in control of those feelings, and we're in control of the way we process those feelings. I saw a fantastic article the other day where a lady said the chemicals that are produced in a kind of frantic moment. So like, let's say you get an email coming in, or you have an argument with someone. The chemicals that are kicking in at that point last only for 90 seconds. And then the only way those chemicals will keep producing is if we ruminate on them and we don't let it go. Because then we are allowing it to fuel again and again and again. So when you kind of think about that peace idea, I love it, because then you can start looking at what steals our peace. What else we got? Creativity, well-being, play sessions from Lauren, the ability to function at our optimum selves from Danny, peaceful mind, peaceful body, feeling good and enjoying life and being able to deal with the stresses and knocks that life bring us. Great time. Technology. Want to smash it up, Marsha. Oh, Marsha, I feel you on that one. And then Chawner says, but mental wellness encompasses the holistic ability to maintain thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. So did you actually Google that, Chandy? Because that sounds very much like an actual dictionary definition, which might be cheating. I don't know. Are we allowed to kind of have that, Dave? What do you reckon?
I absolutely stand for cheating. I mean, when I say I'm an award-winning comic, it was a swimming gala in 1996. Yeah, I'm all for cheating.
Brilliant. So one thing that we were talking about in our session beforehand was the comedy waiting room, when you get like a whole load of comics together, and this idea that comedians have to be funny all the time. And yet when you get a whole load of comedians together, you were saying it's the most depressing experience ever.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, the collective noun for a group of comics is a depression. I mean, like, you just sit there and everyone's sort of talking about they can't pay their bills, like, you know, how, you know, they've got sort of child support to do, or the nightmare. Yeah, I mean, comics, when my girlfriend, sort of when we first met, she used to come along to all the gigs and she was like, it's genuinely too depressing. I think most comics I know are very depressing people, but I think therein lies a reason. There's a lovely quote that I really love from the late great Robin Williams, and he sort of said, I think that I think, what's it, something like, I think that the saddest people want to make others laugh because they know what it's like to feel truly worthless and would never want anyone else to feel like that. And I do think, to a larger and lesser extent, you know, apart from people like Peter Kay, who are just morally vapid, but the rest of people are actually like doing it for like trying to, you know, sort of actually make people laugh, make people smile. And I think that's a really lovely thing. And I think, strangely, I do think that comes from quite a dark place.
Wow. And the whole kind of theme of Mental Health Awareness Week this week is about kindness and being kind to other people and being kind to ourselves. So again, question out to the whole group: what are you going to do to show kindness to other people in this lockdown situation? Are you going to be that person at the supermarket who pays for the person behind you, or at least kind of puts a little kitty in for that? Have you never done that?
Absolutely not. Like, I mean, that's lovely, but I'm paid mainly in nectar points and stamps. I need to know who these people are. I didn't know that was a thing.
So I had a situation where I was at the shopping centre when my youngest was even younger. So I had a baby and then two small boys, and I got to the end, and had literally about 100 quid worth of shopping in the basket, and I couldn't find my wallet. And I'd gone through the whole scanning process and everything, and was getting so flustered with the three boys. And the lady behind me said, "Can I pay for your shopping?" And she paid for my shopping
Lost
basket.
my wallet. I've met people like you before, Peter Larkum. That's the problem, though, isn't it? This is actually a really good point that you've hit on here. That there's a fine line that you're walking between kindness and naivety. And I'm not like, obviously you were doing that, but I think that's why people, there's a really interesting thing. I don't know if you've ever seen, there's a brilliant series, it's called The Good Place, and it's absolutely brilliant. But there's a bad place and there's a good place, and the people in the bad place are all out for themselves and stuff, but the people in the good place just get walked over all the time because they're always lovely no matter what people do to them. And I think that's why kindness is a really interesting point. It's like, what is kind and what is naive? Because you were actually in that situation. You were absolutely, you know, down and out, probably mortified. And I think that's a wonderful and a lovely thing to do. But I mean, I live in Streatham. That's all I'm saying.
All right. So you reckon that there are people who are going to take advantage of this, which is an interesting secondary context around mental health and the mental health story, isn't it?
It really is. And I don't know if that's just because I'm in quite an acerbic mood today. Purely because I'm just going to get it out of the way. I did an interview with, let's not name the newspaper, but it rhymes with the Palladian, and I did an interview with them last week, and the conversation that I had and the conversation that were printed are two very different things. Like, I found out reading the paper this morning that I'm in the middle of a relapse, which I literally never said. So that's why I feel quite pointed today. But I think, to answer your question, yes, it is. I think you want to see the goodness in people. But I think, like you were talking about resilience earlier on, I think that good mental health is living in the real world and managing with real world problems. And although 99.9% of people are lovely, there's obviously, you've got to protect yourself against other people as well. So I think it's sort of managing that, isn't that? It's like doing manageably kind things.
Okay. Because, I mean, the other thing that we're talking about is how do you know what kindness looks like to someone who's struggling with mental health illnesses? Because, like I say, for some people, it may be buying their shopping, or at least going to the shopping and getting it for them. Or for somebody else, it could be being able to wake up in the morning and get dressed. For someone else, it may be that kind of body confidence. And we were talking about this with Emmy the other week, about being able to look in the mirror and not judge themselves. And so there's a huge difference around what kindness looks like for different people. But I suppose kind of the deep question in it, and I want to hear what your thoughts are, is that unless I know what kindness looks like for me right now, I may never even see it when somebody else presents it to me.
I think, well, to sort of round up what Melissa says, it's the experience of showing you care. I really think that kindness is about intent. And actually, some of the loveliest, kindest things that I've ever experienced or seen or haven't actually been shared via social media, haven't been shouted from the rooftops. And I think we live in a very public space at the moment. It's easy for people to try and point out how lovely they are, which is, great. But I actually think some of the kindest things, some of the most benevolent things, are the things that you don't even see. And I think underneath all of that kindness, for me, is what is the intent, and actually, like, how much you are going out of your way to help someone in spite of what you would. And that can really mean, like, I've been lucky enough to meet some amazing people, and my dad was brilliant. And I always used to say this, and this isn't me trying to beatify him now that he's no longer with us, but he was brilliant when I sort of went through therapy, that he said to me, I'll never forget, I went home, I'd just been diagnosed as severely clinically anorexic, and it was Christmas Eve, and I'd been diagnosed the day before, and it was really weird because there was food all around, and Christmas is all about food, and then they'd just been told that their son is like, it has been fast-track treatment for anorexia, and it was like a weird space, man. And my dad was brilliant, and he just said to me, you know what, like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And like, if I say anything wrong, I'm sorry, but if I say anything wrong, it's because I want to help. I want to understand. I want to be there for you. And actually, that intent was so lovely, because he said something that actually, I've heard so many stories of people going, oh my God, people told me I didn't know what to do, and that was so horrible, and that was so terrible. But actually, he was just saying that because he was like, I don't want to do the wrong thing. So I think it's all, kindness is about intent and how you want to help other people in spite of yourself.
Fascinating process. Okay, we are 4 minutes away from the end of the session. I don't quite know where this session has gone with us today. But I
Me
think
neither.
I think
I
it's just
feel like I've all I've said is just don't pay for anyone else's shopping. That's like pretty much the take home session of this half an hour. Brilliant.
thanks very much for your last thoughts on this session, Dave. Chawner. Well, I suppose I think it's brilliant. So what we've been talking about is be purposeful, have intent, know what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. If you get it wrong, you get it wrong, but at least you're doing it with the right heart, the right attitude, the right motivation, to be looking out for other people during this time. And let's not just have it for a week, but let's actually kind of be thinking, how do we promote kindness and connection? I mean, within our work settings, as well as within our home settings, and when we are out within our kind of limited local community as well. I totally believe that we have a responsibility to shift and change the conversation around mental health. For too long, it's been that negative context, and mental health is mental health illnesses. And so it's time to start looking at how do we begin to promote mental health as a good thing and mental ill health as a bad thing. But not even a bad thing. No, that's wrong. But something to protect ourselves against. In the same way we do with a common cold. We don't like it, so we try not to have it. But Dave, I wanted just to ask you for these last couple of minutes, do you have any top tips of what we can do to be finding the fun and find the happiness in our world at this time?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's loads. I think that one of the things I always think is like whenever I'm not mentally well, I'm always taking things too seriously. So to see the funny in something, I think is brilliant. And like a massive plug to Laura's workshop that she does. Like she sort of said, one of the tenets of improv is that like mistakes are presence, and I think that's an amazing idea, that like actually instead of something going bad or you like beating yourself up, you can actually take that and kind of laugh. So I think that like sort of approaching things with a good sense of humor is really, really important. As I say, I think the intent is really, really important as well. And I think, I don't know, this is a bit of a weird one, but I'm trying to remember, especially at the moment, that we live in such a sort of everything is so quick. And actually one of the few good things about lockdown has been that actually there's been time to sit and ruminate and make sense. And I actually think using that time well is really, really important. So like little things of like thinking about your own narrative voice. I don't really have a narrative voice in my head like JD from Scrubs, or I don't have like a bloke thinking. I think very much emotionally, which is why doing certain things like reading helps to kind of create that voice in my own head. So I think that there's loads of things that you could be doing of like, yeah, approaching things with fun, finding out what works, but also failing and like enjoying the feeling of failure, because it's brilliant.
You know what?
So many things.
I think that is a fantastic place to end. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at 11:30, which means that our official time together on Mentality Meets has come to an end, which basically means that I have to round this off by saying I've been Pete Larkum. This has been Dave Chawner. Thank you so much for your time today. Take care. God bless. Bye now.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Okay, so that's the official ending. Brilliant. So we have an official ending, and then people just sign off as and when they're ready, Dave. This could take another 2 hours, but you have to be on here until the last person, just to let you know.
Cross like a dick. I don't know why I went down that route of don't buy people shopping. What you were saying was like a lovely idea, but I was like, scammers out there, mate. Get rid of them.
Yeah, and I might have been one of those walking out there shopping and then finding my wallet. Would you believe? No, I didn't.
Lovely face.
But I found it absolutely mind-blowing that someone would actually go out of their way and pay for my shopping because they saw that I was just getting more and more flustered, and didn't quite know what to do with myself. But yeah, so Lauren, thank you for putting your website up, because also we've got Lauren on Wednesday. So Lauren's going to be on one of these Mentality Meets, and I'm hoping, she doesn't know this yet, but I'm hoping that we might be able to get some nominated people from the video chat to do an exercise. I don't quite know how it's going to work, But I'm hoping that she might be able to do that. I don't even know if she's still on the call and hearing this.
Now you can say what you really think about her. It's genuinely brilliant. I think it's brilliant. And we've also got to give a shout out to Chris with Lammy Lamb tomorrow.
Yeah. So that was a good post. Thanks, Chris. I think Chris is either frozen or fallen asleep. Lauren is still there. Brilliant. So guys, I'm now going to officially end this call, but thank you so much for getting the word out there. Dave, thank you so much for just being awesome. And everyone, take care. God bless. And bye-bye now.